I'm back. Let's go. Welcome to Last Chance Q with myself, Coach JB and Sean Salisbury.
We will not talk over the amateur or under the expert.
It's not only the X's and O's, but it's about the Jimmies and Joes.
And it's not just quarterback. We got all the positions, teaching, coaching, laughing, and joking.
We're using football terminology so we can get through this faster than we don't want to use these long terms, Coach. We got quick verbiage to get to the point. Last Chance Q with the great legendary Sean Salisbury. Yes, sir. What up, what up, what up? We are in the building. Shout out to everybody. We are back. Sean Salisbury, Jeff Nadu, the best capper in the business. As you all know, from his days at Barstool, and Sean Salisbury, former USC Trojan QB legend, NFL quarterback legend, and runs the Sean Salisbury Show on iHeartRadio every single day in Houston. So check him out every single morning. What time is that game? What's that at, Sean? 4 in the morning or some shit?
6 to 10 Central on iHeart. You can get it on the free iHeartRadio app. Okay. Which I know you replay the podcast when you're laying in the sheets at night for obvious reasons. So I got you, brother.
I just dream about Sean Salisbury, you know. Hey man, I'm happy as hell to do this again. We're gonna do the best NFL pregame show in America with Jeff talking through every single bet pick, and Sean breaking down the plays with I. Shout out to DV Sport, the only football show in America that has access. We can show all the game footage once this week gets through. But we got some breaking news to start the show off with, Sean and Jeff. Two different things. Tyreek Hill, if you didn't hear about it, was arrested on the way into the stadium this morning as they get ready to play Jacksonville, which is a little bit of gives me some Scotty Scheffler vibes, doesn't it? Rolling into the Masters or whatever. This is seems like a cop also kicked him in the back for saying some slick shit, and I'm sure it was not undeserving because Tyreek Hill's a shitbird, let's be honest. Now, second thing, I guess he's playing, Sean, Jeff. I don't know if it affects anything we picked today because apparently he is playing, his agent just said. So he'll be playing in the game. So your guys' initial thoughts on this, Jeff?
Well, look, it's as the rule goes around with Tyreek Hill, and it's not his first time being arrested. This is an individual who beat his pregnant girlfriend and strangled her while he was at Oklahoma State. He's a scumbag. He always will be a scumbag. This is a pretty low-level arrest, though, as far as for him. This is also a person who broke his child's arm. We forget that. He also admitted that on tape. So, yeah, he's a scumbag. That said, he'll play. He'll probably play well. Stuff like this doesn't faze people like him as far as guys that just don't really ever learn from some of their past mistakes. But you're right. It does have Scotty Scheffler vibes. It's a very similar situation.
Okay, guys, I was out training a quarterback early this morning. I just got back in about 15 minutes ago, so I didn't see this. What's the reason? Do we know?
Traffic violation is what they're saying.
And then was it traffic violation? I'm driving in to go to the stadium and trying to get there quicker than everybody else type of thing. Is that the way we understand it?
Yeah, and then he started,
Go ahead, Jeff.
And then got mouthy or something. Is that what happened?
I would assume so. But assumptions make asses of us all. I don't know. But right here, you can see he says something, and the cop goes over and gives him a kick. So I don't know. I'm sure there's going to be some drama in this as we find out. But again, I agree with Jeff. I don't think it affects him, Sean, unless he got kicked in a leg or something by the cop and isn't healthy enough to play. But I agree. I don't think this will affect his. For you DFS guys out there that want to pick Tyreek today, I would still pick him. I don't think it's going to affect him whatsoever. It is what it is. Moving on.
Real quick, the truest point of that, guys, is you made the point of guys that have been through self-inflicted problems was well documented by both of you. These kind of things, this is minor stuff to him. He'll probably go out and catch 170 yards worth of balls today. Maybe that's what gets him going. But we know great player on the field and has had some major issues off the field and has been given a lot of chances. So let's hope let's hope like the Scheffler thing. Sometimes I like to let this simmer because maybe the cop gets a little bit too ambitious. But the reason why we jump on it is history tells us Tyreek Hill has allowed us to jump on these things because he's made mistakes. But as we know, there's some police officers out there that get a little ambitious, but for the most part, they do one hell of a job. And whatever it was, here's the key. Don't disobey traffic or leave earlier to the stadium, and then don't get mouthy when they pull you over, and then let your lawyer and the rest of it take care of itself and let them argue for you.
Yep. Maybe it'll be a Scotty Scheffler thing. He wasn't even him. It was the cop. You know what I mean?
That's exactly right. No doubt.
Breaking news again. Our great producer, Bailey. This just happened 5 minutes ago. Dak Prescott has agreed to the largest contract ever, Sean. Are you surprised that Dallas wants to just get it done and keep him now after the CeeDee Lamb signing? I was thinking he may not be a Cowboy next year, Sean. So what's your thoughts on this originally? On game day, Sean. On game day is a little bit –
yeah, you better go throw for 500 then, right, and win against Cleveland Browns today to validate it. Here, am I surprised that it's the largest? What do you get, 231 out of 240 guaranteed? So basically his whole deal is guaranteed, which blew by Watson's, right?
Yeah.
Who was at 220 or 230, the guy he's playing against, ironically, today. Listen, Dak Prescott's a good player. And there's more guys like Dak that meaning that good players that get you to January and then don't get you to February. But again, this isn't golf or tennis. There's a lot of things that go into it. The Cowboys didn't give him much friggin' help in the offseason. Now, I'm not an apologist for Dak Prescott. We all know some of the reasons. At times, I feel like when he gets to January, he becomes a little more skittish and hesitant, right? The key is why you get this. It's not who the best player is. It's the timing of a good quarterback. He had a great year last year. Damn, guy was, second in the MVP voting. We know he can play. But I don't know if Dak, without good players around him, carries the team to a championship. Now, he's got good players. CeeDee Lamb, that's a whole lot of money for two cats in about 2 weeks. Good for them when Jerry gets a little stubborn and hyperbole that says, well, I'll get him later. I'm in no hurry. And then, boom, they go knock these out. But for me, the question is, who are you going to replace him with? I can tell you who it isn't. It wasn't going to be Trey Lance. Okay, so let's slow that down. So when we talk about all the stuff that, okay, they kept him, man, why would you pay him that? Well, what's the replacement? That's what I always say. If you're going to get rid of one, who are you replacing him with? Prescott's good enough to win. The question is he good enough to get you to February? And I don't get anybody's wallet. Good on him. Is he the best player in the league? No. Is he worthy of good money? Absolutely. If Tua's making 53, Prescott should be making his as well because I think Tua's a good player. Are either one of them good enough to get you to the next level? There's a lot of guys bunched that can go, Cousins and Prescott, and there's a bunch of Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson. Even though they're all in that, got him to January, can you get him to February? Well, they're paying him like he's a February guy, so that's the next step. But it doesn't shock me that he's there. I expected him to be a Cowboy.
Hey, Jeff, he's 2-5 in playoffs. Lamar Jackson's 2-6 in playoffs. These guys are continuing to getting paid. Let's rewind as we get into this kickoff Sunday. I appreciate it. We're going to be doing this every single weekend. Let's rewind and go back to the early games, Thursday and Friday's game from Brazil. Thursday night's game, Baltimore came up a little short against KC. I thought it was horrific quarterback play, Sean. We'll get that film soon, but Lamar just seemingly here's my thing, and we'll make it quick, and we'll go to the next game. I'm interested to get Jeff's take on Jalen Hurts and the Eagles in Brazil on a horrible field that Jeff called on our show. I can't believe they still continue to play over there on these horrible conditions and put our players in there. And then Jordan Love gets hurt, ironically, to end this game. Hopefully he'll be back in 3 weeks or so. But I got to ask you, the mesh and continuity of the offense that Monken is trying to form in Baltimore does not work. I said it 6 months ago. I thought that was the worst possible running back acquisition Baltimore could attain or acquire. Derrick Henry, as good as he is, he needs the ball A-gap to B-gap, downhill. He's 240 yards. He doesn't need to be in the gun, Sean, waiting on a mesh read. He needs to be handed the football. And then I don't see how you put Lamar under center to get the play action and all the things you need to do to be successful because he's not a great passer of the football under center. So now how are you going to mesh those two things and combine them? I think you saw a glimpse of how bad it looked on Thursday night.
Hey, JB, let me ask you, Jeff, you chime in on this too real quick. What is your biggest concern? If I said, just give me one, we'll get to Monken's offense, but one thing about if you say why Lamar, you don't think JB is a next level quarterback, that you think he's topped out with this? You don't think he can get what is the one thing that prevents you from believing in Lamar Jackson? Not saying I do. I just want to know why you think he can't play.
I think he's one-dimensional in the playoffs. And once you have a book on him as a DC, as these DCs do, that's why he's 2-6 in the playoffs. I believe that there's a book on him. Peyton Manning, we can all argue and say, well, Peyton didn't win till year 7 either. But
Right.
Peyton was the same guy for those first 7 years. And it wasn't necessarily stopping Peyton Manning throwing the football. It was getting a better team around them. When they won a Super Bowl, their defense was way better. They had a run game, and Peyton Manning actually got over the hump, beat Brady, and got that off his back. Lamar has to do that, but who does he do it first? It's himself, in my opinion. It's himself. He has too many flaws. He hasn't mechanically gotten better in the 7 years where other guys have. I've had Patrick Queen on my show twice, who's a good friend of mine. I recruited a kid, and he said it himself. He's like, listen, Lamar's just a freak of nature. He's probably a great athlete playing quarterback, not a great quarterback who is athletic.
Jeff? Yeah. No, you're right. Jeff, if I said, why don't you want or do you want Lamar Jackson? You agree with JB?
Yeah, I think I've always been a fan of his. I think as a dual threat running quarterback, he's terrific. We all know that. I'm not a player. I've never played. You guys did. You coached. That said, just as a normal person watching it, he just seems skittish. He can't seem to read a lot of defenses. He just kind of throws it up a lot of the time. I never have confidence late in the game that he can make a throw. Look, that final play of the game, right? Maybe I'm wrong, but does Aaron Rodgers make that throw, and does he put it where it needs to be? You got to kind of understand your receivers, your tight ends. I'll tell you another thing, though. It's not just him that I'm concerned about when it comes to that team. That offensive line doesn't seem like they know they don't know the rules, it seems like.
Two rookie guards, two young guards, I believe.
Yeah. They also, it seems like Mark Andrews, I don't know where he was the other night. I don't know if that's just something that they're not on the same page about. As he alluded to, Derrick Henry's kind of a downhill guy, not kind of that get out on the outside type of player. The defense allowed Kansas City to kind of move the ball. Could just be one game. And remember, at the end of the day, they had an opportunity to win the game because they were going to go for 2, and it's likely they get it because they have a very good run offense from the 2-yard line. So,
couple things for me real quick. I know we got a lot of stuff and we want to get to Jeff's gambling, but I'm with you first on the first part, Jeff. He's a playmaker, and he's off schedule and doing those things like when you say, go make me a play, he's capable of doing it. You don't win the MVP twice in a league and not be talented. And JB, I agree with you. The progression part of it, getting there, there's a couple things that stick out to me. Are we at the stage of his career that trying to figure that you just got to deal with, you're not going to get great mechanics out of him ever. So you got to coach him into what he does well. And that's going to be their challenge of saying, okay. And I also think, JB, and I'm with you on this. Can Lamar, you line him up, there's 4 minutes to go in the game. I need 8 straight simple completions, not spectacular, ordinary, boring shit. That part. And I think that neither one of you guys believe that the boring stuff he can make consistently from the pocket when teams are playing passive-aggressive pass rush and saying, beat me from that hula hoop and deliver a slant on time, deliver a dig, and do that without off schedule. Now, sometimes defenses can't stop it. And it almost feels like Monken needs to coach to that. I hate to say it, but you can't. Are you changing Matt Stafford's throwing motion at this stage of his career? No. So you got to find, he can make some throws. He may miss a few, but he's accurate for guys with 3/4. So there's that. And I thought Monken, when they hired him, was going to be a good hire. Now you take into, and I think he still is, but I've never understood. Andy Reid does this better than anybody. Taking an offense, what he used to was a West Coast guy. Mahomes comes in, so he says, screw it. I'm going to grab a little bit of everything, put my ego aside and say, what does he do well? So with the Derrick Henry part, you can be a zone patient team that stretches an RPO. But with him, I don't understand why you still can't put in pistol stretch. I don't understand pistol stretch bootleg. Why you can't play downhill football with a package that, we're in an inside zone. Great, you're a zone team. But you can still play power, quarterback power football. You can still do those things, and you got to get out of your own head. So I think the best thing for Baltimore, talented player. Don't coach him into doing something you want. Coach him into doing what he does best. And listen, when you talk about drop back, put your foot in the ground, throw it on time from the pocket 30 times a game, that is not him, and it never will be. So don't square peg, round hole it. That's where they got to find that mesh because we know he can win. The question is he 11-6 guy, get you to January, and once again, a guy who makes the simple play all the time?
But ask yourself this. This is his 6th year in the NFL, and I get, they like Zay Flowers. Zay Flowers is a guy that they like. But in his career, why not give him a high-level receiver?
Agreed.
He's going to have a high-level receiver on that team. Go out and get yourself. And I'm not even saying you need Jamar Chase. Go out and get, a Stephon Diggs, someone that can. You still go out and make plays.
You got to have more than one of them, Jeff, right? I mean,
Yeah.
JB, you got to have one of them's not enough because I can always take away your best guy most of the time if he's a receiver.
I'm going to be the negative Nancy on here because I went through and broke down his receivers in his 7-year career. They all wanted out. That is a telltale sign that he just cannot get paid. Sean, you know as well as I do, CD Lamb, A.J. Brown, Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase right now wants one. All these guys want these big-time contracts, and the only way to get them is statistics.
Yep.
You cannot acquire statistics playing with Lamar Jackson. His best receiver in his career statistically was Crabtree, and Crabtree wanted out.
Well, that's problematic then.
And then they had Hollywood Brown, who had 1,000 yards on over-the-top throws, Sean. We remember that 19.
He wanted Kyler Murray. Is he Kyler Murray, right? Is that where he went? Hollywood Brown?
Yeah, he went Kyler Murray.
First? Yeah.
Yeah, and now he's with Mahomes.
That's exactly right.
So that's my point. Like, look at the receivers that actually were okay there and wanted out. There's a reason they went out.
Yes, I got $10,000 right now. We all three got a bet. Lamar Jackson, I say 10,000. He's going to win a Super Bowl or going to get to a Super Bowl.
I don't.
Would you bet? And you got to bet it all on one. Yes or no, Jeff?
No.
Yes or no?
Well, it's funny. I actually bet them. I like them a lot this year to win the Super Bowl. I think he will get there. Do I think he can absolutely win? I think he can in his career. Sure.
Get there is half the battle, right? You got to get there.
Yeah, they're generally too good of a defense. They're too good of a rushing offense. And I think when the rubber meets the road, he can do enough. That said, it's the same problem with Dakota Prescott. He's 2-5 in the playoffs. Like he was great last year. 36 touchdowns, I think he had. But that said, when he gets to January, he shits down his leg and he can't get it done. You're giving $260 million to. Let me ask you, Sean, wouldn't you love to be about 40 years younger, being a quarterback now?
Well, hell, even first off, I'd play 10 more years because my body I'd be 24-year veteran because I could start some games and be a backup. I'd be making like $12 million as a backup. And then a few starts, give me 3 good starts, and hell, then I'm making 25. So are you kidding me? Yes. Plus, I'd be younger and I'd be on here without a gray goat. That'd be normal. So yeah, you're damn right I do.
Practice squad players make $20,000 a week now, don't they?
I think so. And the minimum you can make what? What are you at? $550, $600 for a rookie? Yeah, nice entry level wage scale.
Hey Jeff, I was getting $9,800 a week in 2000.
There you go.
Let that sink in. Hey, here's the thing. I want to show this one clip before we move on to the Friday game, the Eagles and Jalen Hurts. Bailey, go ahead. This is Lamar Jackson. Sean King, one of your good friends, Sean King, who won a Super Bowl as well, played. And right here, pause that. This is where right there, Sean. We don't believe Sean King and I believe this is more than enough pocket. This is unbelievable protection for what you have. And you got Chris Jones, who we know where he is. They put him at 5 technique, out of position. I know what I'm doing, Sean. I'm stepping up. I'm going to be quick, not hurry, because this guy is always ready to run, so he makes his brain work faster than he has to. Sean, I broke this down on our show. You know this better than anybody. Slow white guys like me and you. We want to be quick, not hurry, right?
Speak for your damn self, bitch.
we want to be quick and not hurry, right? So we want to climb the pocket on our instep of our pinky toe and our big toe, and we want to be light, but we want to be quick in our head, slow with our feet, and make this throw right there from the pocket. He's already ready to escape, and now he's off balance. When there's a guy wide open, he can't stick his foot in the ground and punch the wall. He just can't do it.
Well, look at this, JB, with that. A great point. Freeze it right there. Keep going a little further. Now, freeze. That's as good a pocket. You should throw for that. That's an easy pocket to be great in. Here's what what the next level, if he's going to get to it. One is I can't see his eyes, but part of it tells me he's looking at the rush. And that bothers me. It's you got to see coverage, feel what you do. And when we say hitch up, doesn't mean you got to hitch all the way back up to trouble. Hitch, quick slide, reset, and get the second guy.
Right here,
yes,
right here. Put your foot in the ground right now.
Right, and then gain a little ground, climb a little bit. See where the hash mark and the right guard are back at this. That would be the 5, 10, 15, like the 16-yard line. Yeah. Slide, reset there. And then bail if the second guy, third guy use your feet as a check down. But watch what he does as he slides. Freeze it just before he throws it. open lane, freeze. Now he's making itself a better it's a tougher throw.
Yeah.
Now he's making itself a tougher throw than if he just slides. And if he was going to slide, you know where he should have slid? Left.
Yeah.
If his eyes were watching and feel, slide up, a little side step to the left, reset. You know what Lamar needs to start training himself to do? Play the position like he is, like you said, a slow white guy.
Yes.
Where you don't have bail. And that's the bonus to where it'll help you get from he's going from progression one to check to use his legs as the check down or the throw. Free slide. See that open space to his left?
Yes.
Now he's got a clean look at he could take off and run. But now he allows it to go horizontal, and Chris Jones.
He can step left. He can step left here and now get square and make the throw right here with nobody in front of him.
Now the result ended up, Jeff, like you said, he's good enough. He makes these plays good enough to make the throw for a touchdown. But it would have been easy. You're not going to do that all the time. And if he takes one more hitch, Chris Jones is going to bury him from behind on the scramble. But if he just takes it and resets, it's not the result you're talking about, JB. It's how to get to that result a little simpler, right? So if he slides, boom, free set. Reset, and now the ball's going to come out right now to the E on Chiefs, and the guy's going to run through it, so you throw him open. The result's great because he's a phenomenal player and athlete, but at some point in time, he's going to have to make the throw from there, reset, head up the field, and do it. His head got up the field after the scramble, which you'll take the result because he's special when it comes to that.
Yeah. Let me ask you let me ask you this real quick. You've been around Jalen Hurts and his dad, and you train quarterbacks in that area in Houston. Jalen Hurts, to me, went from Oklahoma and getting drafted and had some mechanical flaws for the NFL. He got into year one, and we saw what he did. And then year two, mechanically, he came out to the West Coast. He got with Jordan Palmer, a couple other guys. And mechanically, he got much improved. He looked night and day the next year. Then he goes to a Super Bowl, and he has a great – mechanically, he looks so much better. He got better. To me, Lamar Jackson has been the same or worse mechanically each year because he chooses to go out to Florida and get with some trainer, slapdick, I'm sure, and all he throws is 9 balls. And we watch him, he posts them on IG. Now, I'm sure he's working on his feet and doing other things, of course. He's a professional. But what I'm saying is mechanically, his platform, his elbow has not increased. It still drops low. He has loose ball mechanics. Hey, Sean,
JB, he's relying on the strengths, and he hasn't got to the point where he's taken his weaknesses and brought him closer to the strength.
Right. He's weighing his feet, and he lost 12 pounds and blah, blah, blah. That doesn't mean nothing.
His ability, well, in games like that, right, but it's the mechanics sustain greatness in duress. Mechanics, it's like a great golfer. You got a one-stroke lead at Augusta, and you got 4 holes to go. Most guys choke on their own spit, and they start snap hooking. But this guy, Scheffler, he'll hit a ball sideways out of a bunker at the Tour Championship and then come back and go birdie, birdie, birdie to win when most guys wilt. So the mechanics, and he never lets his mechanics suffer. It's the same thing here. And you're right, Jalen did get better. Now, Jalen still got another level to that wind-up where the ball drops. If he can go up and out a little quicker, it'll even sustain him more. But he has gotten better. The problem is some guys, when you're the 2-time MVP and you're kicking ass, meaning you're making plays, it's hard to change the things you're good at because you always lean on your crutch. It's leaning. When you're a great driver of the golf ball, what do most amateurs do, guys? They go hit driver off the fucking tee. Yeah. Pardon my French. But they don't go sit there and bleed their hands until they're out of the bunker or putt because, well, I can drive it far. And then when it's nut cutting time, maybe you just don't quite make it. The spectacular off schedule, there's nobody better. The question for Lamar, is he willing to take the next step to get to a point where if his legs were taken away 3 games in a row, can he sustain you from the pocket? The talent's a no-brainer.
Yep. Jeff, let's get into bets. We got an hour away from kickoff on this first NFL Sunday. I know Sean's excited to see what happens with C.J. Stroud in Houston, right in his backyard. Dak just re-signed to a huge contract in Dallas, so the state of Texas is happier today for their football programs and organizations. Let's get to the first slate, Sean and Jeff. We got I think an 8-game slate to start in about an hour. 1 p.m. on the East Coast, 10 a.m. on the West. Sean is in the central area where it's at noon. Jeff's on the East Coast, so we're an hour away, and we got 8 games to start with. And this first one is going to be an interesting one. Jeff, the Steelers, Falcons. Falcons' new head coach, defensive-minded guy. They got Kirk Cousins, and they signed Penix. A lot of discussion in the offseason when they made that draft pick with Michael Penix after they signed Kirk Cousins. They got Bijan Robinson, who I expect to be really, really good and actually get fed this year. And then we'll see if Kyle Pitts can be the guy that everyone thought he was underneath Kirk Cousins and getting him the rock on time, like you hope Mark Andrews would have got fed by Lamar Jackson. So where you at, Jeff, with this one? And then we'll break it down after you pick them.
Yeah, well, obviously the Steelers are going to have to go with Justin Fields today. No Russell Wilson. He's inactive, I believe. Some people talking about Kenny Pickett should be the quarterback. Kenny Pickett couldn't make it as the Eagles backup. He actually was beat out in camp. He should have been beat out in camp by Tanner McKee. So I don't know that, again, you still these same problems with the Steelers, quarterback problems. We know that the Atlanta Falcons have a new quarterback, a better quarterback than they've had in years past. We know they have playmakers in Drake London and Bijan. I look at both these defenses, though. I think they're pretty strong. I look at both these offenses as trying to establish the run. New quarterbacks with both today. Two pretty good run games. Two coaches that, obviously kind of fall on defense a lot of the time, especially Mike Tomlin. This is not a game I was much interested in gambling on. I thought the Falcons were probably the play. Obviously, with no Russell Wilson, that kind of makes it even better. They are at home as well. This has moved up to 4. I like the under. I thought this was like a 20-17. 21-13 type of game, kind of a smash mouth, kind of rock fight. Not a game I bet on, not a game I want to bet on. I leaned under 42.5.
Go ahead, JB.
Yeah, I'm under all day. Especially no knock on Justin. I like Justin. I recruited him out of college. He was a great kid, but he's a freak too. I don't believe he got better in the offseason because he hasn't played since Chicago, which he has a bad sour taste in his mouth there. I think the Steelers borrowed Justin Fields and Russell Wilson. I'm just going to be honest. They got him for basically a Chico stick and some string cheese. They didn't have to pay him. Denver's paying one of them. The other one, Chicago's finishing paying. So they didn't pay either one of these guys. They borrowed them for a year. They're going to see what they can do. Play Mike Tomlin ball, who Sean and I love to death. I know Jeff has his issues. He hasn't won a game in the playoffs in a long, long time, since 2016. I believe he relies on defense. The addition of Patrick Queen, I believe that defense will be much better. I think the Pittsburgh defense will be better than Baltimore's defense, who we saw against Kansas City the other day. There's another reason I'm taking the under with Jeff. But I expect to see a better offense in Atlanta, though. So it's going to be very interesting, Sean. Go ahead.
This is the best quarterback they've had since Matt Ryan had the MVP year. Cousins. I mean, this offense is going to be explosive. And Bijan Robinson, by the time the season's over, may be in the MVP talk. It's a quarterback award, but, hell, the guy could rush for 1,500 yards and 12, 14 touchdowns. And he's got to be overjoyed, as does Pitts and London, because they got a guy, regardless how you feel about Cousins again in January, they will move the football. I like the under in this game. I like Atlanta. Listen, I'm not so sure it's a detriment to Pittsburgh that Russell Wilson's not starting. I am. And I know, Jeff, when we had the conversation in Denver, I think Russell Wilson is just a guy now. I think he's concerned about reputation and all that. He doesn't even feel like that's his type of city. They want blue collar, no excuse, kick you in the – play your ass off. I'm not saying Russ can't play. I don't think you're ever going to see sustained consistency out of him. And it's a chance for Justin Fields today, who's more talented at this stage than is Russell Wilson. And I see Russell Wilson times get awfully skittish and refuse to use his legs when he needs them consistently. Fields at least gives that. Atlanta's going to win the game, even though I love Tomlin. They're going to score. I'm with you on the under. It's a chance for Fields, if he goes out there and plays good, to go pick the glove out that Russell Wilson left on the mound with the calf. So I'm not even sure the decision was easy for them, because I don't think either guy – now it's Pittsburgh. They always have a winning record with Tomlin. But as I know the veteran and the rest of it, I think if you're just talking about have to scramble around and do stuff, give me Fields over Wilson right now. I've got zero confidence that Russ Wilson winning me 10 games in that division. I don't want to see anybody hurt. I don't think it's a bad thing that Fields is playing quarterback against Atlanta today. But I'll take Atlanta.
I will also throw out, I was a big fan of Fields at times last year in Chicago. They were a very good underdog bet. Obviously, this is a different team. It's the first game, but I don't think Sean's real far off with that. Russell Wilson, as he alluded to, is just a guy. He's not the guy from 7-8 years ago, as we know.
He did come off one of his best years, though, last year in Denver, even though no one expected him to. He was top 5 in a lot of statistical categories for a guy.
Yeah, but you said stacked. How many of those are empty, though, JB? How many of those are empty? And Sean Payton, they gave up. They wanted Bo Nix. They couldn't wait to run him out of town. And Payton, don't kid yourself. Payton's really good. Yeah, with being a mad scientist. Like, I don't hate. Listen, it's not personal. I just think I think there's a lot of Yeah, hey, we're sitting around. I think Russell Wilson has a lot of mixed-in excuses at times. Like the guy, think he's had a hell of a career. I don't think Russ Wilson's in any danger of taking a team to a Super Bowl, and maybe Fields isn't either, but I'm not so sure Fields doesn't give you a better chance at this stage with his movement.
Agree. Let's move on to this much anticipated beginning of one of your alma maters, and I'll have to get you on my show to ask you about the retiring of Caleb Williams' jersey. They better retire Todd Marinovich's jersey too then. Let me ask you something. What is your first takeaway, Jeff, on this rookie start? Jeff, I know you're high on Caleb Williams. Regardless of his off-field antics, you don't care. If he balls out, he balls out. I agree. We all judge them off of what they do on the football field at the end of the day if he can win games. I believe the Titans, our lovely producer Bailey in the back has talked me into it a little bit. I think they may be better than I first thought, but when you lose a head coach who's fiery and you don't replace the offensive weapons, I don't know how Tennessee can actually be better, but we'll see with Will Levis entering year 2 there. Chicago has gotten better on offense. I don't know how much better they got on defense, even though Chicago was playing better defense towards the end of the season. Last year, they were in a top 10 conversation on defense as a team to end the last 5 games of the season. Justin Fields was winning a few football games late in the year. They had a little bit of momentum. They go draft Caleb Williams, and today we will get to see him live with some live ammunition around him being fired at him. Jeff, let's break it down. Go for broke there with Chicago and Caleb Williams start.
Yeah, a couple of things here. I really like Tennessee in this game, +4. And there's a reason. In fact, there's various reasons for it. You make a very good point. I don't know that we're talking enough about some of the things that Tennessee did, right? They add Tony Pollard. They bring in Calvin Ridley. They have a strong offensive-minded head coach in Callahan. Their offensive line's improved. They bring in
his dad's a great O-line coach.
Yeah, they bring in L'Jarius Sneed. They bring in Ernest Jones, Chidobe Awuzie. They bring in a lot of talent on both sides of the football. And look, I know the Chicago Bears finally have their quarterback, and I think he's going to be great there. I really do. Again, it's not hard to be the greatest quarterback in the history of that team because they just haven't had that many. Problem is, though, in this game, number 1 overall quarterbacks, and I'm not a big long-term stat trend guy. That said, Sean and Coach JB, since the NFL-AFL merger in 1970, number 1 overall picks in their first start are 4-22. Okay,
great point.
Just, as far as you look at against the spread, 7-20. That's 27%. It's just, again, I'm not saying Caleb won't have a good day today, but I think the Tennessee Titans have gotten a lot better. I like Will Levis. He obviously has a year under his belt. And I also will point out, and I've said this before, the Chicago Bears, I don't trust them in the trenches. I really don't. I don't like their offensive line. And the Tennessee Titans are very good up front. Jeffrey Simmons, that group. I think +4. I really like the Tennessee Titans in this game.
Jeff, I'm with you 100%. As much as I think Caleb Williams is going to be a good pro. I do. He's going to drive JB crazy because of the mechanics and dropping the ball and playing off schedule. But those things he does well. And the reason it's retired, and it should be at SC, he wins the Heisman Trophy. And for 2 years, not counting the Heisman, Jaden Daniels, he was with that defense, he had to make every play. Mechanics and off the field and leadership and fingernails and purses that look like a set of cow's nuts. I mean, I get all that, bull nuts, whatever. But on the field, and Jeff's right, if you can make plays, I'll paint the damn nails for you, dude, and your toes, and give you a friggin' calf massage if that's what it takes to go win games. Especially if I'm the Bears, shit. We got to go back to what? Sid Luckman? I know Jimmy Mack, but I'm talking about.
Yeah,
they had a guy, Cutler, maybe as far as just skilled. Jimmy was just a winner, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking a leader. Will Caleb Williams be able to lead? We'll see, but I'll tell you what helps you lead, win. I'm all over Tennessee today. Now, I think it's going to be a close game, but here's why I believe rookie quarterbacks, those first picks, struggle, Jeff. One is that defensive coordinators, windows are 10 yards to throw to in college. When you get here, it's a coffee can size window. And if you're late with the football, you are screwed when it comes to NFL Sundays. You're throwing to coffee can size windows. And 2, so scheme. Your head's spinning as a rookie quarterback, whether it's Peyton Manning or whether it's Caleb Williams. 2 is, the expectations. So what do you play? Hero ball. And hero ball gets you in trouble, even though I know the Bears want him to. I think the Bears will be improved. Tennessee's the sneakiest offseason. I didn't say the best, the sneakiest good offseason. And in this division where the Texans are getting Diggs and Daniil Hunter and Joe Mixon, they're kind of flew under the radar. They are going to be in competition in December to have a chance in this division. I believe that if Levis is healthy and they play well. I like this game, and I like Tennessee, and it will not shock me if Tennessee goes in there and wins the football game because they're a football team. I like Tennessee on the bet.
And also, remember, too, I know Mike Vrabel's gone, but the same players are, for the most part, there. They were a very good underdog last year. In fact, Mike Vrabel was one of the best underdog coaches in the league. I really like the spot. Again, it wouldn't surprise me if this is a 24-21 game. Chicago finds a way to win the game. But, again, to lay 4 with a rookie quarterback in his first start, I really like what Tennessee did.
Picking straight up, I'd go Bears, although I could see an upset happening. It's not a stone-cold lock, but with the points, to me, this feels, you're laying 4 points. I'm on Tennessee on this like a Shriner on a whore, dude. I'm all over it.
Yeah.
All right. Where we at next, Jeff? We got the Texans right there in Sean's backyard. C.J. Stroud, sophomore season. Sean and I will probably both agree sophomore slumps are a real thing in the NFL. There's a bag out on him now. He's got my kid Tank Dell, who's coming off an injury, who was I thought was a key loss in their playoff run last year. Tank Dell's back. I think they're explosive as anybody on offense with Mixon, Schultz. We'll see the Diggs addition, how it works out. But where you at to start the season off with C.J. Stroud against a good Colts defense? Sean, I believe it's in Indianapolis, in that dome. The Colts have made some great additions. I'm not sold on AR5, of course, giving Smitty some shit there. But where are you at with this game?
Well, me first or Jeff? Me? Here's what I think. They've had a great offseason. They're doing everything right here. And, yes, sophomore slumps do exist, but I also know that good players who work on their craft and an offensive coordinator can keep you out of that. He throws the ball too well for me to come in and say he's going to have a hack sophomore year. The stats may not be the same. They may not get to 10 wins. I think he's different. I do. I think he's a player. There's nobody who pushes the ball down the field on time, intermediate, that 15 to 22-yard throw better than him with accuracy. He is really good. The key, I'm going to tell you what a key pickup is if he's healthy. He's been durable. The ability to get Mixon in the passing game, to hand it to him 15 to 20 times a game where you got that zone scheme. He knows what that's like because he had Zach Taylor in Cincinnati. Obviously, it comes from the Rams and McVay and Shanahan. And I think Joe's going to be a huge addition out of play action for them. There's a legit threat. This team's not only a legit threat to win the division, they're winning a playoff game. They're really, really good. And I think they've stayed focused, and DeMeco has a lot to do with that. But they've got to prove defensively, interior-wise, that they're stout enough to knock you in the mouth and do it. And Anthony Richardson's a wild card because he is a gifted dude now. You got to make him one-dimensional. I do like the Texans in the game. I like them going on the road and winning. But I would not blink. I mean, if I'm playing the Colts, I wouldn't take this for granted because the Colts have always been a problem for the Texans. This Texans team's different. I expect nothing but big, explosive bandwidth on offense.
I'm the same way. Before we get Jeff's pick, I'm the same way. I think Houston goes in and gets it done. I think that team is transcending upwards in a manner because they're believing in their head coach. I believe the head coach has them going. They're bought in. They're fully bought in. I want to see if Diggs is addition by subtraction, or is he bought in as well as not maybe being the number one guy? Because they got loaded guys. With the addition of Mitchie, who's beat cancer and beat some other things, and I think they still have Woods. This is a loaded wideout core with Nico and Tank, obviously, and then you add Diggs, and then you still have Mitchie and Woods.
Dalton Schultz
veterans.
as well.
You got Dalton Schultz and Mixon, who's a great pass-catching back out of the backfield with that addition. Their O-line's gotten better. They signed the left tackle, one of the better ones in the football. And Tunzel, this is a team that if they get better on defense as the season goes along, they're a formidable opponent.
They're going to disrupt the edge too, man. I'm just telling you, they tackle better. Yeah. This is it. And C.J. Stroud's he doesn't have to be a hero. He's got a lot of weapons that can roll it out and get him going. And the defense is going to get them more possessions this year. DeMeco's got them headed in the right direction. I think they're primed for a good run.
Jeff, break it down.
Yeah, so we're in disagreement here. This is actually the first bet I made in the offseason. I made this bet a while ago. I've talked to multiple bookmakers and people that know bookmakers. this is the biggest liability for books today. The whole world is on the Houston Texans. People are very excited about what this team can be, and they should be. They've got a lot of firepower, as you all alluded to. Couple of things here, though. You have a home divisional dog in revenge. First game of the season. AR5 is healthy. There is not a question. The Colts have a better offensive and defensive line than the Houston Texans. That's just a truth. It's a fact. They are better. They have a good defensive group. I like AR5. I love John Taylor. He's a guy that I think is just a real solid back. They've got some weapons. I'm interested in A.D. Mitchell, kind of seeing how he fits in there. Again, if you're going to give me a field goal with a divisional dog, I'm in. Again, throw in the fact that the books need the Colts. Generally,
who would you pick straight up, Jeff, if you were just a fan? Just forget the gambling side. Who would you pick?
I think the big story on First Takes tomorrow is going to be the Colts are 1-0 and Houston's 0-1, and we're going to have to worry and overreact, and people will overreact. And at the end of the day, this is just the truth. Houston will be just fine. This will be a blip on the radar long term. But you have to look at kind of where things go, what the numbers tell us, and the numbers are telling us that everybody and their mother's on the Houston Texans, and how the NFL works.
What if I told you today that the Houston front seven will be the difference in the game today?
Well, then I think they will win. I think at the end of the day, if their offensive line plays well, which it should, but the Colts have, to me, one of the best offensive lines in the league, and I think that's one of their helps there. I really like Buckner and Stewart and Paye on that defensive line. I'm just real high on the Colts. I think more as an overall team, and I like Steichen a lot too. So
I like Steichen. I like what you're saying. I cannot go with a team that I know on the other side of the football has the most elite quarterback and most accurate passer, I believe, in football right now as a second-year guy, C.J. Stroud, versus a guy who wasn't even a 55% completion percentage guy in college. I can't put my eggs in one basket with him. I don't believe in AR5. I think he'll hurt that team and put their defense in bad positions, and that is the key to this game, in my opinion. AR5's play versus C.J. Stroud. C.J. Stroud won't lose the game. AR5 could actually lose the game for a great defense.
And you're right. He only has 98 snaps in the NFL, right? There's no one on earth that will tell you that you'd rather have AR5 over C.J. Stroud, other than Smitty probably, but – I get your points. I'm going the other way. I was hoping this hit 3, and it did.
That's why you're one of the best bettors, Jeff. That's why you're one of the best bettors, bro. I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah, no doubt on the betting side. And I'm just giving you from football analysis side. The wild card for Anthony of the Colts and in this game is you're right. He's 90-some snaps, but it still concerns me if I'm the Texans, because if you allow that guy to stay, he's a big physical, athletic freak show. If you allow the game that I can't have today is if you're a Texan, 3 or 4 broken plays that end up special because that dude, you couldn't bring him down.
And that breaks your back on defense. It breaks the Houston.
That's how they're going to win today. And another way that they've always won, the Texans in the past haven't been able to sustain stopping big inside power and a guy with break. I mean, they got better last year, but in the past, Henry and Taylor have eaten them alive. That's the next step for them, is controlling the line of scrimmage defensively. If they do that, if they make this Colts team more dimensional, they're winning the game today.
I just want to point out 2 things as well. This is the highest total on the board in the 1 o'clock games, 49. Both offenses should move the ball. Just think about this, though. In the playoffs last year, Colts lost the game 23-19. That said, they outgained Houston with Gardner Minshew at quarterback. They should have won the football game. They were in position to win the football game. Now they get that same team week 1 at home. These divisional games, we know how close they generally are. That's really my look here. Throw in the fact that I'm fading the public, which I'd like to be doing as well. So should be a good one. We kind of are in disagreement.
Good deal. Carolina Saints, a division rivalry right out the gate. These are 2 teams that we don't know much about moving forward with new coaches, seemingly been in disarray as organizations since Sean Payton left New Orleans, and since Carolina has departed with Cam Newton and CMC. It seems like these 2 teams are possibly now maybe headed in different directions. I don't know. I like the upstart Carolina. I'm big on Bryce. I thought he ended the season last year playing as well as anyone with no O-line, no real weapons. I think Thielen and a couple of veterans are there. I don't know. I think they got better up front to help him. He's a small guy. He's got to be able to be quick. I liked him in the preseason this year. I thought mechanically he's improved like Jalen Hurts did from 1 to 2. He has also improved from year 1 to 2. I like Carolina getting better. I don't think they're going to be a great football team. I just think they're going to be better than most people think. The Saints, known for their defense, I'm curious to see how they use Kamara Jashawn this year, how he is. He's healthy or not fully. He's been riddled with the injury bug. I want to see what New Orleans does with Derek Carr because I'm not a believer. Sean, you and I go back and forth with Derek Carr. Great ball spinner, big time arm, all that stuff. Seemingly just can't get out of his own way with his faith-based walk by faith, not by sight ass. And he seemingly does not want to take a hit when it matters, which I think will cost them down the stretch. I like this game going. Go ahead, Jeff. I want to get the line before I pick this game.
Yeah, so the Saints are 4-point favorites at home. There's a couple of things that I'd urge you not to do in the NFL, and that's trust Derek Carr laying points. He is a disaster. Throw in the fact this is the worst graded offensive line in the NFL, the Saints. Derek Carr has been abysmal under pressure. And as you alluded to, I am pretty high. Look, I'm not telling you that the Carolina Panthers are going to win the division, but Dave Canales is a good hire, a Pete Carroll disciple, a guy who knows offense. You know, they brought in Deontay Johnson. They have some playmakers all of a sudden, got some help on the offensive line. And I think they're kind of a blue-collar defense. They got some names that I think can make plays. I like their secondary. It's pretty young, but I think it is talented. I don't like Derek Carr. What the hell do they have for weapons there outside of Kamara? Could be one of the worst receiver groups in the league. I don't think they should be a 4-point favorite. It wouldn't surprise me if the Carolina Panthers win this game. I'll take 4 points and put them in my back pocket. Bryce Young and that group can't be much worse. I expect a nice bounce back this year, and I just don't like Derek Carr.
I like Chris Olave. I think him and Derek Carr early will have connections because, like I said, Carr has a big arm, Sean, and can get him the ball as a playmaker. But at the end of the day, I'm going to take the Carolina Panthers actually to a money line to win this
new
game
offensive new offensive coordinator there. So we'll see some different.
Yet another one. Yeah.
Yep. And again, that's right. Carolina. Listen, Canales went in and fixed Geno Smith in Seattle, best year. Fixed Baker Mayfield in Tampa Bay. The guy knows how to whisper a little bit and get him to play better football. They went out and committed to getting help on offensive line and get more weapons, and they got both. And so I'm under the belief that even through last year, see what Bryce Young played like was rookies are supposed to play like. First pick, struggle, show some flashes. That guy was running for his life, had no shot last year. Anybody that calls Bryce Young a bust or calls a CJ, if you have CJ Stroud in the Hall of Fame and Bryce Young is a bust, you're way too premature. Well, I think Stroud's going to be special. He already is. But I wouldn't be calling Bryce Young a busted just yet, folks. You guys don't. But I heard it. Oh, I can't believe because of Stroud's success as the guy drafted behind him. They will be better. The Saints concern. I mean, the Saints are up. I think Atlanta's winning the division. I do. The Saints will have their moments. Do you realize the Saints last year were a top 10 scoring team in the league? You guys know that? Top 10 scoring team in the league. So they'll move it around, and Carr's pretty accurate. Carolina's going to keep this game close, and they're going to play better football, and they got more to offer this year. I wouldn't touch it bet-wise, but it will not shock me if the Carolina Panthers come out of there not only with a win, but getting inside that spread. It seems like a big spread for a Saints team that I think is still struggling. And there were 9 games last year in what was a bad division.
And there are certain quarterbacks that, just all due respect, like Derek's an average quarterback, but he is a loser when it comes to covering spreads. He does not cover. He is a money burner. If you have bet on Derek Carr in 58 starts as a favorite in his career, he has only covered 21 times. That's 36%. You are getting crushed. He's just not a guy you can depend on as a favorite. You just can't. And when I mean favorite, it's spots where he is expected to win. You can't trust him.
Yeah. We got 4 more on the slate to start the morning off. Let's go Arizona, Buffalo. It's going to be very interested to see. I'm interested to see the Digless era with Josh Allen. I believe Josh Allen, I'm going to take a hot take here. I think Josh Allen's going to have a better season without him because I believe the younger crew will be bought in. Josh Allen will be less stressed out having to force the ball to a guy that's going to bitch and moan and cry on the sideline. I think Josh Allen has a year like Patrick Mahomes has had without the great talented wideouts, but learning how to win without them. Josh Allen's that special. Now, can he take it to the next level and not turn the ball over in the red zone, run the football with Joe Brady? Can they run the football on offense in Buffalo to ease his pain, so to speak, and Josh Allen's not having to do everything and play good defense with Sean McDermott? Because if they don't, I believe Sean McDermott will be fired, Sean, and I believe the Buffalo Bills will be looking for a new head coach. So I believe the Buffalo Bills' new era without Diggs is going to be an interesting one today. And then you got Kyler Murray returning. Everyone's excited to see if he's going to be the guy. Can he be the guy we all thought he was? I don't believe so. But again, I don't think Arizona's good enough football team yet. I'm taking Buffalo all day long on this one. Jeff, or Sean, go ahead and break that down before Jeff picks it.
I think Arizona's going to be better this year. I do. But do we trust Kyler Murray to sustain great play for 17 games? That's a question. Oh, the overall look at this. Josh Allen's a friggin' uniquely talented guy. Let's not bury the lead. He's got to protect the ball better in the red zone. He just does. As good, but they ask him to do so much, which is if he doesn't play really good football, they're not going to win. I don't have him in the playoffs this year, and they've been for the last 2 or 3 or 4 years, they've been my go-to that I think is going to be hanging around because of what Allen does, and they've been loaded on defense. I think this is a monster year for McDermott. I do. And I think that Josh Allen, maybe this year we even put even more respect on him because he can carry an offense when they don't have a boatload of weapons. That being said, I like Buffalo in the game. I don't think Buffalo's making the playoffs this year. And I don't think the window's closed because Allen's there. But I think you got to shimmy your way through I don't think they're a great team this year. I think they're a good team. Will beat some teams they're not supposed to, but are also going to get beat by teams that aren't supposed to beat him. I think this game's closer than you think today, but I don't think Buffalo is going to be playing in January this year, or at least in mid-January.
Wow. Yeah, it'll be tough. Jeff, go ahead.
Yeah, I have to agree with Sean. I wonder, Josh Allen, 1.5, that team, Buffalo, 1.5 giveaways per game. I think it was 22nd in the league. You just turn the ball over too much. Can't do that. You look at this receiving core, and we obviously talked about it. No Stephon Diggs, and that could help him as far as JB's talking. But Matt Collins, Curtis Samuel, Khalil Shakir, and Keon Coleman, who's a rookie. Not a lot there, to be quite honest.
Hey, Jeff, not to cut you off, Jeff. I believe that Shakir will be unbelievable in DFS this year because he's going to get the ball.
He was a guy I was a big fan of coming out of Boise State. They put out some good receivers over the years. He is a kid that I think can flash. Keon Coleman, I liked him a lot as well at Florida State. They also don't have Matt Milano. He's out for I believe, the year on defense. This is a tough one because I want 7 if I want to get Arizona here. I want that 7. That way, worst case, I push. I could see this game 28-21. I could see this game 24-17. I didn't get there with this game. I think the Bills will move the ball. I don't know that Arizona's gotten better on defense. I've always said, too, with you guys, I like Kyler Murray. He's been a pretty good underdog player over the years. And he's got a receiver now, Marvin Harrison. Trey McBride's a good tight end. So I feel like he's going to take the next step forward, but I don't always trust him either. I don't trust either quarterback here, quite honestly. It's a pass for me.
Yeah, I'm going to take Buffalo outright. This next game, 10 a.m. on the east, on the west, 1 on the east. It's about 30 minutes from kickoff. Patriots, Bengals. Joe Burrow's back. Jamar Chase seems to be up in arms. Said that he was going to play without a contract today. It might even piss him off more that Dak Prescott got signed on game day. Interested to see how he shows up. Does he play? Does he sulk? Does he suck his lips? Suck his teeth? I'm curious to see how he plays. He's Burrow's boy. They're homies. I would hope he would sit there and play it out with his boy. He's got 2 years still remaining. I don't know why this is even a conversation, but again, Sean, player empowerment rules the world. So where are we at with this game? I'm taking the Bengals in this one to outright win the game regardless. I don't think New England has enough to score with the Bengals. And I know T. Higgins is out, but I still like the other pieces they have, and their defensive line I think will get after a quarterback that we really don't know. Is it going to be Kobe Brissett? Is it going to be Drake May getting in the game late? We don't know. I don't think New England has the weapons. I think Bengals win it outright.
I think what's the spread on this, Jeff?
Bengals -7.5.
I think this could be one of the bigger wins of the weekend. And I don't care if Jamar Chase catches a ball today. Bengals all day, every day. I think that, Super Bowl's in New Orleans this year, right?
Yeah.
Last time that dude played in a big game, the quarterback played a big game in New Orleans. Remember that result? Turned out pretty damn good, didn't it? I know it's college and NFL. I expect the Bengals to be better, and I expect that with Chase playing, he's going to get plenty of looks. I love Cincinnati in the game. I don't trust really. New England's got to prove to me that they can score that they can actually score, regardless of if it was a rookie quarterback. Well, good luck with that one. And if it's Jacoby Brissett, while I respect him, I just don't think there's a lot of bandwidth in their offense. Cincinnati can get you. Their offensive line obviously has gotten better over the years. I love Burrow in this game. I like Cincinnati. And when all is said and done, don't be surprised that the Bengals are playing in February this year. Bengals, and I don't have this pick since it's at home. I'm not even concerned about this. Give me the Cincinnati Bengals, and I think they could win by double digits today.
Jeff?
Yeah, I didn't bet this one. I'll just kind of throw this out there. A day or so ago, this spread was 9. It's down to 7.5. A lot of bigger, sharper money has bet New England. I get it. I've talked before. You have to look at Joe Burrow in the first 3 games of the season. He has been historically bad in the first 2 games of the season. Throw in the fact he's coming off a late season injury last year. We don't know how excited or into this game Jamar Chase is. You don't have Joe Mixon anymore either. I like the Bengals, and I agree with you, Sean. I think long-term this is possibly the best team in the AFC. But, as far as just in this game, I think the Bengals will win. But, New England, again, blue collar, they're going to try to get their hay on the defensive end. I think they have some talent on that side. We'll see what it is on offense. But something tells me this is 21-13.
Ugly game. Yeah.
Yeah.
Joe Burrow's that hitter. We have Alex Bregman's been like that here, where his first month and a half in April, he's not very good, then goes on and plays well, or like Judge this year.
Yeah.
Look at Judge's numbers to start out the season. I mean, they're just April. It's like not just disinterest. They're just getting in their spring train. Burrow's that guy that after 2 games, you're like, what's wrong with Joe? And at the end of the year, he's top 3 MVP guy. They like the judges of the world. That's who he is. So maybe because he missed most of last year, he'll treat this as like it's game 5. Because if it is and they play like he does once he gets rolling, they will cover that spread. It could be an ugly win. I don't trust New England's offense.
If he does that, then yeah, this game will be a double-digit win. And it's hard to win by double digits still in this league. Back door is always open. This game could be 28-17 late, and we get something late for New England with 3 minutes to go, 2 minutes to go. So again, not a game I bet, but don't be surprised if this game's a little closer than we think with some of Joe Burrow's issues in the first 3 games of the season.
Yeah, the next game is very interesting. We started the show off with Tyreek Hill getting arrested in front of the stadium on the way into the game. It seems like their agents made an announcement he will play, so it's not affecting his play, it seems. I would still pick him on DFS. He's always a early game, week 1, week 2, week 3, huge fantasy guy. If you're picking DFS, he always gets points. He's going to beat somebody over the top. He's going to get loose. Jacksonville's trying to figure out, are they better on defense? Trevor Lawrence signed a big contract this offseason. So did Tua. Both quarterbacks have an immense pressure on them, Sean, in my opinion, to perform well early because of all the naysayers that are out there. It's in Miami, Hard Rock Stadium. You're going to have to take Miami because they're at home early in the year. It's going to be hot and muggy. Jacksonville's used to the same weather. They're right up the street from each other. I don't see that being a factor, but I do see Miami having a few more weapons on offense and getting loose early in the year. Later in the year is when I would start worrying about Miami, especially in cold weather states. And Tua's not very good, 0-11 on the road. So he's at home. It seems like everything statistically is lining up for Miami to win today. I would take Miami in a money line. Sean, go ahead.
You know what? To me, I think that there's a ton of big plays happen in this game. Just the overall football side of it, and let Jeff hit this gambling thing. I need to know for not just now, but the entire season, how physical are either one of these teams.
Right.
I know they can finesse me. And Lawrence, I keep waiting for Lawrence to dominate the league. You know what I'm saying? Every year it's like, okay, when's that next step going to be taken? And then Tua, we know that you got to keep him off schedule if you're a defense. If he's throwing in rhythm, forget Tyreek Hill getting over the top. They'll take a slant to the house with him throwing on time. So I like Miami in the game if I'm just looking and analyzing football. Jacksonville's one of those teams. There's like 2 or 3 of them that I'm not real sure who they are right now. I'm not talented. I think this game's in the upper 20. I think somebody could get to 30 points. I know it's hot, but they're great team speed. Who are they? The team that shows up a little more physical today. I know both can finesse you. I think Miami's got a few more finesse playmakers and one of the great team speed teams in the league. Give me Miami in a closer one, but maybe some ugly parts of it. But I'll take some home runs today. Miami makes one or two more.
Yeah, I think this is a fun back and forth game. And I think you guys are right. It's time for Trevor Lawrence to stop making excuses. And you got a big contract. You got a weapon or two. I like Gabe Davis a lot. I'm a big Brian Thomas Jr. fan coming out of LSU. You got a good running back. Evan Ingram's a solid tight end. I think they have a pretty underrated defense and a good coach. It's time to stop screwing around if you're Trevor Lawrence. I think while Miami will probably make one or two more plays, I don't trust that defense at all.
Agreed.
And I think the Jags have a really nice advantage on the defensive end. This game seems like it could be one of the better ones of the day. Two kind of dueling offenses. I'll take the better defense, though. I didn't bet this game. If I had to bet it, though, I would take Jacksonville. I'll take a field goal, essentially. I just don't.
Is it 3 or 3.5? Is it 3 points, Jeff?
3.5.
3.5.
So you're getting a hook, too.
Yeah.
I could see 27-24.
Okay.
This probably will be a fun back and forth, big play type of game. You got a couple of kids here that, obviously Hill and Thomas. I see points.
Now that you mention it, I'm going to check out the hook while my DJ revolves it. Name the singer, name the song, JB. Check out the hook while my DJ revolves it. I'm going to say Jeff knows who I'm talking about. Am I right? Jeff, do you know?
I do, yes.
Okay, go ahead, JB.
That's Vanilla Ice, motherfucker.
Thank you. Did you Google it while we're sitting here?
I'm on my phone.
He's
on
white.
my
Of
phone.
course you know that.
Okay.
Come on, man. I know all the great white
You know all
rappers.
the great white rappers, exactly. Guys who could freestyle. There you go. Just making
Hey,
sure. That hook matters in this game, though, Jeff, as you know. That hook is big today.
Absolutely.
Hey, there's a last 10 a.m. on the West Coast, 1 p.m. on the East Coast, last game on the early slate. And it's going to be an interesting one. And Jeff knows that I'm high on one guy and everyone else is low on him. And now we got Sam Darnold starting in Minnesota with Justin Jefferson. McCarthy got hurt. We don't know if he was going to start or not. I'm actually bigger on Sam Darnold than most. I don't think he's had any foundational organization. He's been through 7 OCs, 5 head coaches. I played against him in high school as a coach. I've seen him up close for a long time. He's an uber talented kid, can make every throw on the football field from any hash. Not that hashes matter in the NFL, but he can make them all. It's going to be an interesting game here, the last game of this slate. I expect more out of Daniel Jones. I got to be honest, but Brian Dable's also fighting for his job. So this is a game that's very interesting to me. I'm curious to get your guys' take on this. The Giants' D-line, though, is superior, and it's one of the better ones in football. I think the Giants' defense is going to be much improved, and I think that gives Minnesota some problems early on in a game 1 scenario because of Sam Darnold starting to get his feet wet. Daniel Jones, I believe, finally has better weapons, better O-line. I'm interested to see. I still wouldn't have paid him that money. I agree with Jeff all day on that, but look who we're paying nowadays. So I'm interested, but I'm gonna roll with the Giants in this one just because of their defense being ahead of the offense early in the season, and Sam Darnold having to get that continuity with Justin Jefferson to start the year. Justin Jefferson now has a new quarterback. He's missing Cousins, obviously. We're gonna see if they can run the football in Minnesota. We're gonna see that. With Aaron Jones. I expect Aaron Jones to have a big game today, though. I do expect him to score a touchdown for the DFS guys out there, whether it's a run or a reception. So I'm going to take Giants, though, and their defense late. Sean?
I'm taking Minnesota, and I think I'm with you on Darnold. And, guys, the reason I say this, and now, listen, we can't keep making excuses for Sam and all this. He's going to this is his time to do this now. He's got Kevin O'Connell, who's a good offensive coach, and I love Sam. Now, listen, I'm removing me or JB from this. I talked to about, I think it was 7 guys. I counted 7 guys that I either trust expert-wise at the quarterback position, played it, coached it, analyzed it, or front office did or scouted it. And I have yet to find somebody after all this that still tells me not one has said Sam Darnold can't play. Matter of fact, most lean on the side, if it's done right, he's still got star ability. They believe that. and this isn't hyperbolic. I'm just telling you what they said to me. Remove how you and I feel about him, JB, or that I'm an SC guy, because I've criticized him too. He's careless. He lays the ball on the ground and he throws it, but he is capable of doing special things. He's got the best receiver he's ever had now, and they've got a runner. The most underrated pickup this offseason, maybe Aaron Jones. Runs with energy. I think that's legalized theft for what's he, $6-7 million. I think that's going to be great for Sam Darnold. And Darnold's got a lot to prove going back into that building on a different team, but in that building. I actually think the other way. I think the tackles in Minnesota can help. They're really good on the outside bookends. They do a nice job. I actually think the Minnesota and their linebackers are really good. The linebackers, they went out and got some help, and they can disrupt. I think that, and Dable's taken over the play calling. How quickly it's changed. 2 years ago, Mike Caff was a head coach in waiting, and now Dable snatched it back, going to do it. Brian's a great play caller. You give me the Minnesota Vikings. Sam Darnold's going to make more plays than Daniel Jones. I like Minnesota going on the road and winning this game outright, and I don't even know what the spread is because I didn't look at it.
Yeah, I mean, it's essentially a toss-up. I mean, Giants are a small underdog, but it's a very tough game to call. Before I get into my prediction, I try to stay away from addressing individuals in the chat, but there's a person who made a comment that, of course, Jeff talked about Tyreek Hill, but said nothing about Matt Araiza. Here's the major difference, Jay Smooth. Tyreek Hill has been convicted in criminal court of abusing and strangling his pregnant girlfriend. Matt Araiza was railroaded by a girl who lied straight up, and no criminal charges were filed. So, Jay Smooth, please make sure you understand the law and what actually happened before you come at me on anything. Number two, as far as this game, it's a tough game. I think JB makes a great point on the New York Giants defensive line. I think overall that's just a tough defense. They've got some real players up front there. Daniel Jones, again, you have a weapon or two now. They're starting to add something there. Malik Neighbors, he's a top 10 pick, a guy who probably can come in and give you something real good there. I think their offensive line's better. Just two teams I don't really want to bet on. I don't like Daniel Jones. I've talked about that. Sam Darnold will take some time. Look, the Vikings have the best player on the field in this game, Justin Jefferson. It's a toss-up, complete coin flip, no interest.
Let's get to the next slate, the later slate, and we're going to start right here on the West Coast, AFC West, the Jim Harbaugh era, and we're going to see what he can do with Coach Roman, who I'm very, very high on. I think Sean is as well. We have Noel Mazzoni and Josh Booty on our show every Wednesday, and they're high. We thought that was the biggest mistake Lamar Jackson and the Ravens did by losing Greg Roman. I thought that was the best Lamar would ever be under that system. Now we're seeing a Monken offense where it looks like it's just in disarray. So I can see him with now Justin Herbert, and we're going to see Herbert with Harbaugh and Roman. I believe that this is scary to see. They did lose weapons. I get it. Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, who was always injured anyway. Eckler, I get it. But Harbaugh knows what he's doing. I have full faith. The Raiders and AP, a good friend of mine on the other side. Listen, I thought Aiden O'Connell would get the nod. They're going to go with the more wily veteran. I still think Aiden O'Connell is the better ball spinner. I think Minshew's better off the bench. I believe that'll still happen later in the year. But I think AP understands the Giants' method under Tom Coughlin on how to play defense, be nasty, run the football, get the ball to Devontae Adams as much as possible, get into 12 personnel, Sean, with the addition of the tight end that they drafted. I believe that helps them. I believe that isolates Devontae Adams. I believe Devontae Adams in the DFS world will have a huge number game today. And then on the other side, I think Justin Herbert and the Chargers are going to show everybody why he is so uber talented. He's finally got an offensive-minded quarterback guy coaching him. So it's very interesting to see this game. I'm going to roll with the Chargers and Jim Harbaugh because they want to play for him, and I think it's going to be a barn burner, and it'll probably be a higher scoring game than not. So I'm going to roll with the Chargers on the money line. Jeff, break this game down stat-wise or pick-wise, line-wise.
Yeah, it's interesting you mentioned the higher scoring thought. I actually – this is one of my favorite totals of the week. I bet under 41 here. I think –
Wow.
And I'll tell you why. You have a Harbaugh who – I think we all know he is going to probably lean on the run in this game. You obviously get acquainted with Herbert, that offense. They don't have a ton of weapons there. I think they will move the ball, but I don't think they're going to be putting 30 points a game up on the board. We know Pierce is a guy who very defensive driven as well. I think that defense is improved. I just don't like the quarterback situation. You have weapons, but it's almost like having a car with limited insurance. You have to give the weapons you have to give them a capable ball spinner. I'm not saying that these two aren't. They're just not real up to par with where you want to be. Something told me this was a good old-fashioned AFC West kind of rock fight, first to 20 wins. I think both these teams will be slow from a tempo standpoint, not run a bunch of plays. I like the under here, 41.
I agree. I agree with you on that. Good point. It makes me think a little bit because of Minshew, Sean. I don't know if he's the guy, but I also like the 12 personnel tight end possibility where you can isolate Devontae and make it real simple on Minshew.
Minshew's going to keep the game closer because I think he's accurate and he's got some moxie about him, and he's used to this. I don't think the stage is ever too big for him. That being said, as a lifelong silver and black, I bleed silver and black and been a Raider fan my whole life. I still like the Chargers growing up in San Diego, but I like the Chargers in this game. More physical. I'm talking about the Chargers to be more physical than they've been in the past. And they've got a coach that'll make smart decisions at the end of a game, unlike they've had for the last 3 years. It's like, what are you thinking? Like elementary school decisions have cost your team. Herbert's a star. He is a monster talent, and Jim will mix in that with play action. I think they'll be more on the do the little things, keep it close, we'll close it out in the end, run the football,
right.
Maybe not blow a lot of people out this year, but find a way to add physicality that they haven't had. I like the Chargers in the game. Chargers are making the playoffs this year. I believe they're going to go, and I believe the coach does matter, and Greg Roman will make sure. Greg Roman likes completions, and they'll get those, and I expect a more physical Charger team. As much as I hate to pick against the Raiders, I can't be a homer. I got to pick against the team that pick the team that I think's better. Give me the Chargers in. I don't think it's a blowout, though. I think this is a low-scoring 20-17, 21-17 type game. Right. And the Chargers win this game.
And also remember, you mentioned Greg Roman comes over from Baltimore. Look at who his running backs are. I mean, Justice Hill, or not just Hill, J.K. Dobbins and Gus Edwards, who were both with him in
right.
Baltimore. Yep. They're going to run the football, and I think that's a great point. I think they'll win this game, the Chargers, but it's going to be a low, drawn-out.
Harbaugh would rather have you win throwing it 28 times instead of Herbert's 40 times, and that's who they're going to be this year. And think they can win 21-17 games and 20-17 games. I think this is the beginning of a different type of Charger football team, and I'm okay with it.
No, I agree. Let's bump around here. I want to go to Denver-Seattle game. It started last year with Geno Smith, and 2 years ago they started the season off with Geno and Russ Wilson going at each other. Russell got traded from Seattle. They started that season off with this game. This season's getting started off with this game. Bo Nix era versus Geno Smith. New coach in McDonald in Seattle. I love Seattle's receivers. The Legion of Boom is far, far removed. I don't know how good this team will be on defense. They did add a few key pieces on D-line, so hopefully they're better in Seattle up there. I think Seattle could be formidable, but Denver, we don't really know what they have. I'm a Sean Payton guy. I don't know if I'm a Bo Nix believer just yet, but Sean must love him. He drafted him and started him as a rookie. So I'm interested to see that team there. Patrick hopefully will play. They haven't had him in 2 years at receiver. They got a few good pieces there. Can they run the ball and play defense? We're going to see this game. It's a pickup. I don't know, Sean, Jeff, this is a very, very toss-up game for me. I would probably lean on Seattle to win this one outright. But where you at, Jeff?
Well, Seattle's about a touchdown favorite, and I think that's fair. I think they should be. I actually would lay it with Seattle. It's one of the favorites I like today. You mentioned the Broncos are going with Bo Nix. I'm not sure who else they would go with. I mean, I know. It's kind of where they are. That's a lot of pressure. He had a good preseason. We're not going to knock it. He was very good, but preseason compared to the NFL week one is a lot different. I don't overall like this roster much at all. I don't love what they have there really on either side. This was a defense at times last year that was absolutely horrific. Gave up 70, if we remember, in that one game. This is not the same old, Bronco defense from 5, 6, 7 years ago. They just lack a lot of playmakers to me on both sides of the ball. I like Seattle. I like Geno Smith. We have the new coach there too. We forget no more Pete Carroll, but there's still weapons there. We still have Metcalf. We still have Lockett. And I'm going to tell you now, I've said this before, Tyreek Woolen is one of the best cornerbacks in the NFL. I was highly on him when he came out of UTSA. I had him very high on corner rankings. And he is a big kid. He's a good player. I like the schemes they can throw at the Broncos. I think this is like a 31-20 type of game. I think Seattle has a big
And
game.
I misspoke. Patrick, who's I forgot. I meant Cortland Sutton. Cortland Sutton.
Yeah.
I know Patrick is gone now, but they got Cortland Sutton and they got the rookie Josh Reynolds, I believe, and then Marvin Mims Jr. I'm curious to see how he does with Bo Nix, and then can they run the football? Javonte Williams is a pretty damn good downhill guy. I just don't know if they can feed him enough for a rookie. Like Sean made a great point with Sam Darnold having Aaron Jones to help him. Bo Nix, does he have a guy? Does this guy take enough pressure off a rookie quarterback? That's going to be key to me. So I like Seattle.
Seattle wins the game, and I think they cover. I've laid those points too. But today, with the mad scientist Sean Payton getting a guy who can run it and throw it, who's an accurate player and passer in college, I think you see Bo Nix take steps today to prove that he will be in the Rookie of the Year run by the time the season's over. The way Sean Payton will use him, he gives Seattle a little bit of problem because you don't know what you're going to get. I think Sean Payton's going to like it, but in the end, the Seattle defense will be the difference, and they'll probably force a couple turnovers. But I think you're going to see some flashes of Bo Nix that says, I get why Sean Payton wants to play him and likes him and why they drafted him.
No doubt. The next one, before we get to the most interesting game on the slate, in my opinion, there's two left, but Tampa Bay, Washington. Washington with Jaden Daniels, I believe, is the best rookie quarterback in this draft. Hands down, I think he's the best ball spinner in this draft. He's got the moxie. I got to be around him since he was young. My buddy coached him in high school right up the street here. I've seen him since he was a little kid. He just always had the it factor. I believe that he's still looking to pass the football before he runs it. Unlike Lamar and these other guys, I think Jaden will stay upright, even though he's a little guy. He's got to protect himself. Washington now, of course, I know, do not surround him with a lot of athletes. They're not really good roster-wise yet. They're a team that's been, they're restructuring their team year to year right now, but at least they have the guy at the helm, I believe, now with Jaden Daniels. So they'll be formidable. Then you go to Baker Mayfield and the Bucs, who had his best year last year as a starter. They gave him $100 million. They still have Mike Evans, who I believe is the most underrated wide receiver in the history of the NFL. 10 straight years with 1,000-yard receiving. But did they get better? I don't believe so, Sean. I think they got older. They stayed older on defense. They got guys on defense. I love Levante David, JUCO legend. I just don't know. They got older with him and White, and they got older on defense. I don't believe they got younger, which everyone else is doing. So I don't know what they've done. And I mean in key spots. I know the Bucs got younger overall roster-wise, but key spots, I believe they're older in those situations. I'm not a Baker guy. I just don't think he's consistent enough. But I'm going to roll with the Bucs to win game one. Obviously, that's not a question with the Washington team being just very.
I think this is going to be an ugly ass football game. I do.
Yeah,
I don't think there's a lot of pretty to it. Grind it out. Tampa wins in the end. I'm with you. I think on schedule, even though his feet are phenomenal and he can create and run the football, Jaden Daniels feels more advanced than a rookie who doesn't know how to get through progressions. I'm with you. And his from 1 year with Brian Kelly to year two, his ability to finally start taking shots down the field and growing the guts down the field, I think he's going to be a really good player. I do in Washington. I do. And I think they got their guy. I just think this is an ugly – I probably wouldn't even bet this game, and I didn't. But I like Tampa to squeeze out a pretty ugly one when it's done. But Jaden Daniels is the guy, and I think they got a guy, a new coaching staff for them as well. Ugly win, maybe a turnover or two because the guy's a rookie. And that's how Tampa wins it, but nothing pretty for me. And
let me be clear. You guys don't listen. You just hear me in the chat. I know they're a younger roster overall. I said key spots are old. Okay? Levante David, Mike Evans, Baker Mayfield. Those guys are old. You can say what you want. Those are old guys, and those are the most dependable or depend upon guys on that roster. So I'm just saying, Mike Evans is, goddamn, how long can he play this well? I mean, he's old as shit for a guy that now has to go out there and really doesn't have a complimentary guy on the other side. They got some decent guys, but do they have another guy? And yes, Baker is old in the thick of things when we talk football. Yes, he is, because you understand he played in college for how long? and then he goes and plays and gets beat up in his first 5 years in the league on 5 different franchises. Yes, we call that old. So I'm going to go with Tampa, though, because they're obviously just a better franchise at this point. But I don't know if they have enough weapons.
Jaden Daniels is going to give Washington something to be really excited about. They are. But I just don't think this is a pretty game. I think it's a grinded out. Somebody turns the ball over on the short field. But give me Tampa in a close one, although Washington's going to beat some teams this year that they shouldn't.
Yeah, I'll just be short and sweet with this. Remember, too, we talked about it earlier. Baker Mayfield no longer has Dave Canales either. It's yet another new coordinator. It's Liam Cohen, a guy who, let's be quite honest, with LA, he wasn't particularly a strong.
And he went to Kentucky as well. That's exactly right.
Yeah,
let's get these last 2 games up so these guys can make their picks.
Just not much on this game.
Okay, 6 minutes
Jeff,
left.
you take these 2 to start, and we'll throw in a little bit. I want to hear the gambling side as well.
Yeah, I got the most interesting lineup, 2 loaded rosters, especially in Cleveland. I think Cleveland has the most loaded roster top to bottom in football. If Deshaun Watson is the Deshaun Watson of old, is always the key. Sean and I used to break down on Last Chance Q, like, is he the guy that we all thought he was? Ever since all the allegations and all these issues, he's never been the same. And I believe he's letting down a roster that is a Super Bowl contending roster for the last 2 years for sure. This defense, I believe, is going to give the Dallas Cowboys fits. Dak Prescott coming off a contract today, game day. He should be happy as a lark. He's got CeeDee Lamb. He's got his weapon. This can be either a barn burner or a damn 12-9 game. I don't know, Sean. It can go either way. Jeff, break this game down because it's an interesting first game to start, to say the least.
Yeah, I think we just have to kind of point out. I mean, Deshaun Watson just hasn't played a lot of football over the last couple of years. You got Dak Prescott, as you alluded to, who's pretty happy, I think, today going into this game. He's got all his weapons. We know he's a very good regular season quarterback. They have a pretty good defense their own right, quite honestly. I mean, they've got a good secondary. They've got playmakers on that side of the ball. I got to tell you, I thought this was an ugly game. I'll go with the second thought. I don't think it'll be 12-9, but I don't think this is going to be 31-28 either. I think this is going to be a game where the defenses kind of tell the tale. I'll tell you, though, when you look at the Cowboys, what the fuck? Oh, pardon my French. Who's running the football for this team?
I don't know.
Ezekiel Elliott? I mean, what is this, 2015? I mean,
Zeke's old. They got who? I don't know. Chubb's not back. Chubb's not back for a while. We don't know what's going to happen.
This tells me this offense, if they can't throw the football, it's really going to bog down.
And I'm talking Chubb on the other side because I think it goes to the same thing. Like if they don't have a running game in Cleveland either, Deshaun Watson now is sitting there.
Watson. So Jeff, who'd you got? You taking in the game?
I'm not going to play a side. I like under 41.5.
Okay.
I think this could be an ugly game. First to 17 wins, something like that.
To me, real simple. Watson has underachieved, and injuries are part of it, but that's part of it. Availability, durability, and the rest of it. This is a huge season for him. Has to be. I think the Browns defense is the one that takes care of this game. Don't be surprised at a strip sack fumble. The Browns are a talented roster, man. That is a talented roster. Give me the Browns in this one, and the defense is the difference for the Browns.
I'm going to roll with the Browns as well on this one. Last game, the night game. Interesting. Stafford goes home. They got beat by Detroit in the playoffs last year. I think the Rams team is much improved, even though they lost Aaron Donald on defense. I think the Rams got better. They found another rookie, Jim, at wide receiver. Now they got 3. If Cooper Kupp is healthy with Nakua, and then they get this rookie that's really performed well in preseason, I think they have a top 5 running back in football with Kyron Williams. I believe he's very underrated. That with Sean McVay, mix and match, boot nakeds and waggles, and all the misdirection that he does on offense, I think is going to give Detroit some fits today. I expect Matthew Stafford to redeem himself back at home. I'm taking the Rams straight out on this one. These are 2 teams that are very, very highly anticipated to be good in the NFC. Detroit's possibly a Super Bowl contender. I would ask Jeff. I would lean on Jeff. Of course, he knows, but I know a lot of people are putting money on Detroit to go to the Super Bowl this year. And I know a lot of people are picking the Rams to compete with the Niners in the West. So where you at, Jeff, with this one as we get ready for kickoff here in 1 minute for the start of the NFL season? We appreciate everybody joining us. Pound that like, subscribe, become a member. This will be every Sunday, 8:30 a.m. Pacific, 11:30 Eastern. Jeff, take it away.
Yeah, real quick. The Lions are kind of the NFC version of the Texans to me. Lot of excitement around this team, right? Can they kind of take that next step and win a Super Bowl? I don't know that I'm there yet. With them defensively, they've gotten better. We'll see if it's made it clear. I agree with Coach. I like Stafford. Give me 4.5 points. I think the game's close. I think the worry is maybe this game will work out like the Chiefs did the other night, where Rams just can't get up and get a lead and ultimately lose by 7 or something. But that said, I had it at 27-24. I like both these offenses. I don't love either defense. Both teams have playmakers. In a shootout-y type of game, I'll take the dog. Getting 4.5, very good number.
I like in the betting scheme, I like the Rams too, getting inside that number. But I can tell you this, I believe Dan Campbell. I like what he's built. I think their offense is as explosive as there is in the league, and I think their defense will be better. I'm one that has them sitting in the NFC Championship game against the San Francisco 49ers. And I think at home, while Stafford will play well, I think Detroit's a better team than L.A. And I'm taking them straight up win if I had to bet it. I mean, no points, just straight up. I'm taking Detroit. I think they are worth the hype. Now, just as long as they're not buying into all the good stuff we're saying and still go out there and stay the course. This is a team I'm feeling about them like I did once the Bengals started to kick in and do their thing a couple of years ago when they're healthy. I think Detroit is real, and I think Detroit's going to win that division, and I think the Detroit Lions are going to be staring at a chance to win to be in the Super Bowl. Give me them with the money line, but when it comes to inside the 4, this is a field goal game. So if you're betting it that way, the Rams are going to win.
One final note. Someone in the chat's talking about McVay as a game planner. He is absolutely a game planner. In his career as the coach of the Rams, he is 6-1 against the spread in game 1, covering by an average of 9 points. He is very good at getting prepared. I think that's a great boding well sign here as well.
Yep.
Hey, man. I
don't bury the lead. Real quick, what's Brady? Is Brady going to be good on the broadcast or not today? I think he will be because he's prepared. Show your personality and tell us what we don't know.
I think it'll be just fun.
I agree. That's going to be interesting to watch him. I do miss Greg Olsen. I think Greg Olsen is one of the best to do it.
Yeah.
So he'll get another shot. Hopefully he'll call these other games. But Tom Brady, we're going to see how he calls the game from his eyes, and maybe hopefully he'll keep it real like he has and call out what's bad and say what's good, not just be woke and part of the do right, do what they say type of guy. Hopefully he's different, but lovely. Hey, man, we almost had 1,000 people in here for the first show of the year. We haven't even promoted it yet. So we appreciate you guys joining us this morning. Tomorrow's Coach AB show with Big Smitty should be huge. Jeff will be on. Big Matt McChesney, Colorado, Nebraska talk. Sean, make sure you follow him on iHeartRadio. It's the Sean Salisbury show every single morning.
And JB, I'll have an announcement coming this next week about a new national show that I'll be doing early next week, or early this week, should I say, middle of the week. We'll be able to share it with everybody.
Hell yeah. And Jeff, always the insight. Go enjoy the games.
Yes.
I'm recovering from last night being fucking shit-faced, and I'm going to go clean up the house and watch these games. And love you guys. Appreciate it. And we'll see you next week.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
The Last Chance Cube. Let's go. And I just cannot wait to bring over 60 years of knowledge and experience to not only the novice football fan, Sean, but to the veteran football coach as well.
You love it, you better live it, drink it, eat it, smoke it, and then every now and again wake up with it laying next to you.
The premier football coaching show on the internet.
I've looked forward for the longest time to be with somebody whose energy and knowledge of football and teaching and no nonsense, but understands the old game, the in-between game, the new game, and combines them all.
Last Chance Q.